Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Final Space, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
April Collins.
Hi there.
And Alex Bonilla.
Kill me.
Please try to make it through the whole podcast before. It hasn't even been that long. We can... That's what the listeners are saying, right?
This podcast, in a way, is like a serpent god we've been consumed by.
In what way?
in that, we sacrifice ourselves to the pursuit of talking about animated shows, and sometimes our loved ones are chasing after us, trying to rescue
we're
us
the sister? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
we've been turned into zombies talking in service of the god that is animation.
Okay, so let us know in the comments if you think we're
this
the
is a lot
zombies
for a Thursday
already.
Okay.
No, this is Monday night. The episode.
That's right.
We're talking.
I don't even know what day it is.
Come on. We're talking about the Grand Surrender.
There's no calendar inside the stomach of a snake god,
right?
So
we've
how would we know?
been in here. That's true. Who knows? The Grand Surrender, the third episode of Final Space Season 2. Yeah. As referenced tonight, it came out Monday night, 11:30 on Adult Swim. And we've been talking every week about Final Space Season 2, and we'll continue to at the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for us on iTunes at Overly Animated Final Space. Search for our Final Space feed. And our YouTube is youtube.com/overlyanimated. You can also search for us on Spotify. Subscribe to Not Miss Our Future Podcast, and also make sure you've seen this episode because we'll be getting into spoilers right away for the third episode of Final Space Season 2. Michelle, what are your thoughts on the Grand Surrender?
This episode was like the most perfect episode we've had in a long time. I don't think that's a hot take. That was genuinely how I feel. We got so much good character stuff. Like, every joke landed so well. I laughed so much throughout this episode consistently from, like, every character. We got a lot of K.V.N stuff. That's great. But, like everything was really good. Like, honestly, this is, like, if not my favorite episode from the whole show, like, definitely one of my top 3. I was so surprised how much I loved it, and now I kind of wish we could just pretend the second episode didn't exist, and this was the first episode after the first one, like this, because like we get so much good bonding stuff, like we get into some character stuff, everyone's like interacting with each other in believable, good, interesting ways. I love it. It's so, they pack so much into it, but it flows so well, like. It never drags, and it doesn't feel too fast. It's just perfect. Oh my god.
Wow.
I love it a lot. This is such a good episode. We're going to talk about it.
Perfect,
but I'm
says
super
Michelle.
high on it. Yeah.
Michelle says perfect. What say you, April?
I liked this episode. I really kind of enjoyed the whole, like, getting to know Ash thing. So that was kind of fun because, like, we figured out, like, where her family is and what happened to them and, like, how she got her powers, which is kind of, I mean, they don't really completely explain that, but I'm not complaining. We just know, like, what brought it about, and that's enough for me. But yeah, no, I totally agree with Michelle that, like, all of the jokes landed. I actually really enjoyed K.V.N in this episode.
What do you mean, actually?
Oh my god.
And so, like, I really enjoyed him, and I didn't even, like, mind the whole, like, B-plot with, like, Nightfall and Hugh and, like, Fox, like, with the intruder on their ship and everything like that. Like, I didn't mind that at all, and I was like, so this was, like, a really solid episode for me, and I liked it.
Okay. Perfect, says Michelle. I liked it, says April.
You said that with a lot of enthusiasm, though.
Yes, it was a very enthusiastic, like, I liked this episode.
So it's like, I liked it versus I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I got it. Okay. Alex, what level, say I liked it, and then your level of enthusiasm will tell us. Yeah, but if he didn't like it, then I'll be like, I liked it. So you did give your enthusiasm level in your delivery of the line.
Okay, let me prepare myself. Okay, I liked it. Okay. let me get the negative out of the way first. Last week, you told me that a part of the episode description was Hugh hosts a bachelor party for an unexpected visitor. Hugh is not the focus of that B plot, so I was disappointed. But with that out of the way...
Though they use his room and they play the darts for a hot second. Doesn't that count?
Sure. So
And he's doing the best he can with his janitor's closet room.
Sure. I'm just saying that he was probably third in terms of focus in that side plot. But with that being said, Hugh is very funny in this episode. K.V.N is very funny in this episode. The Ash emotional stuff hits pretty well in this episode, and it all fits together. I think last week I talked about the show trying to find the balance between its comedy side and its drama side, and I think here it meshed a lot better together. I think in part because we begin pretty much with the Ash's backstory, and that carries through the whole episode, and you get the ending of the episode, like to tying it all together. So I think that this is a better example of what Final Space can be, and like it's a really fun time all the way through. As April mentioned, the B plot, well, it's not it doesn't take that much time, and when you go to it, you're not bothered by it, and that's a plus for this show. So all things considered, I really enjoyed this, and I definitely think this is a very good bounce back from episode 2. We're back on track, I think.
Okay. You ready? My turn to say.
Yes.
Okay. I did not like it.
What?
Wow.
Dylan, you're not just saying that to be a troll. You really didn't like this?
It works out because I like taking the opposite stance anyway, just for the sake of the discussion. But no, this is my least favorite. This is my least favorite episode of the season. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's good. It's
Such a
good. Now we can
Ash
discuss
episode.
it. So, okay, here's my take. Basically, I liked the Ash character work in this episode, and I didn't like anything else. Basically,
but Fox is such a great best man until he accidentally leads him to his death, and there's
great.
so many funny lines. You didn't think K.V.N was on point consistently the whole time?
There are funny lines, certainly. I don't, even when Final Space is quote unquote at its worst, which for me is this episode, I think 2 is better. There's still funny lines. I still think stuff is funny here. My favorite part of the episode is the Ash flashback sequence where Gary and Ash are narrating what's happened. That is really funny, and I really like that scene. But the B plot's just I agree that doesn't overstay its welcome, but that's just because it gets a minute and a half of screen time, and it's barely a thing. So I think the episode just moves way too fast. But I could totally see why you would be fine with that. I like the contents of the episode. I just don't think it was presented well. The whole serpent god mythology stuff, it's interesting. It's just we just blow past it so quickly. And
it doesn't matter. That's
right.
Not what matters. Ash stuff that matters.
Right, and I do think the Ash stuff was good, so I think that might be the mark of a successful episode, because the thing it was primarily trying to do was successful, so I do like that. There's a lot of violence humor in this episode. This is a very my personal preference thing, that I don't like that stuff. So the gag of K.V.N accidentally killing all those people,
literally killed me. I thought it was so funny.
Right, so that's just personal preference. I did not like that at all. Yeah, right. So it's just just a difference in humor taste, I guess. And there's 3 times this episode where they have stuff like that, K.V.N bounces the ball off the dude to kill him, and then
that was great.
and at the end they push the guy off and he splatters, and yeah. So if you like violence humor, then you're gonna lose a lot there.
Best line about the seagulls and the rice, and it's so good. It's such a good closer.
Okay, yeah.
You can't bring me down, man. This episode is so...
I'm not trying to not convince you. I'm just giving the opposite take here. I love that you guys loved it. Michelle loved it, and then Alex and April liked it. So I love that. I'm glad. Not trying to convince anyone. So I'm gonna focus.
Oh, wait, I didn't know loved it was an option. You just told me to say liked it.
You're right. You're correct. That was not an option. That was not an option. Yeah. But yeah, I think that a lot of times, kind of like amateur TV critics like us will say like the pacing is bad is like a default criticism. And I think I take pride in us not saying that a lot, because that means we have deeper criticisms than that. It's a broad point. That being said, I thought the pacing was bad on this episode. So this
what pacing for like
Whoa,
what things?
amateur hour.
I know, right? Everything was paced badly.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Well, is there a thing that went too
example.
fast? Is there a thing that
Yeah,
went
so
too
everything
slow?
went too fast. The B plot was it was the guy shows up and in 2 seconds he's in the room and we don't come back to it, and then at the end they just push him off to his death. If they wanted that to be a thing, they should have done more with that. Otherwise, just don't have a B plot.
But no, that's like all there was to it. I don't think it overstayed its welcome, but I feel like
it didn't
perfect
overstay
amount of
its welcome.
time for how easy you resolve something like that. Plus, like it got to showcase Fox doing something. I think he was really like amusing and kind of like adorable, being so excited about being someone's best man and trying to do his best and then failing miserably, but having his heart
like
in
the
right
one
place.
moment with Fox, the best man. I did like that. And then everything else. It's just a very complex thing they're trying to do with the serpent and going inside, and then the heart, and then the riddles. I didn't really like the riddle stuff, and then
the riddle
that
stuff
was
was
great.
so funny.
I do like
they
that K.V.N.
kept
knows
getting
riddles.
more
That's good.
Crazy.
Yes.
That's good. Okay. Anyway, so we'll focus. We'll get the positive stakes now. So let's talk Ash. I think that's the primary thing. Like big character episode for Ash. That's what they're trying to do. And we learn a lot about her. We get her entire backstory. I think I want to talk about that first because that's like the most info we get. I mean, I guess the big plot thing is we get one of the keys. Not that they really reference that beyond the beginning. It's like, oh, this is a key, and then they get it, and then Clarence like eats it, and then he's trying to poop it out at the end. I hope he succeeded with that.
I think he did.
There's just a lot of things. Like that was like very quick at the end too. But yeah, so we learned that Ash was from this planet Serpentis. Gary, Ash says it was supposed to be the greatest day of my life, Gary. That's usually how the worst day of your life starts out.
Good line.
Like I said, I really like this part of the episode. And she said she was forced to watch her parents sacrifice her sister Harp. That's her name, right? Harp.
Yes.
The instrument. To worth it. And that unleashed her powers, her sister being sacrificed. And Gary says, "Oh, your thingy thing, Ash? Yes, dude, my thingy thing." I hope that's a thing. The rest of the season is the thingy thing. And then she like kills her parents, and then everyone else. She says, "Yeah, that makes me a bad person, right? Oh, look at me, I'm a parent killer. Watch out."
The way she says it is so funny. I laughed a lot.
I really was this like
they're
improv with Ashley Birch and Nolan, but it was like too good to have been improv. I don't know, maybe it was though. It was so good.
It could have been improv.
Yeah, like the idea of just like having like an argument over a serious montage is like a good juxtaposition.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean parent killer in a judgmental way.
I know that's
Right?
It's even funnier. It's
So when you said
Such a
parent
good
killer, you meant
exchange.
great job, Ash. How is that not judgmental? Yeah.
It's so good.
I think it might be the best scene of the season. So even though I think the episode's the worst, they at least I really maybe we'll see other parts you guys also found as good as this. But I don't know. I feel like I want more like improv-y stuff. Like this. Like I feel like the show does that sometimes. But it's hard to do that. I feel like when you're moving really fast. But also the show does succeed sometimes when it moves so fast. Like, so maybe like it's kind of generally a good thing for the.
Well, I think also in the first episode we commented on like there already being kind of chemistry between Ash and Gary, and I think that that's just an extension in this episode that for some reason like those two personalities bounce off of each other pretty well. So maybe it's just these two particular characters that
maybe.
have good back and forth.
Yeah, I just think also just Ashley Birch and Olin are like really good together in their dialogue. Like they just this scene and that episode 1 scene were also like that was really good too. So I definitely hoping for more of that to come. And then she finds Fox and Clarence, and that's how she gets together with them. So what do you think this tragic backstory for Ash, or are we not focused on the tragicness of it because of the commentary?
I mean, it works.
It's still tragic.
Yeah, it's tragic how like having to watch your sister be sacrificed. And then, like, that's how she got her powers. She was so upset about that. So that's kind of, that's cool. I wish I could be that upset about things. Get magic powers.
I wish I could be that. Oh, so for the purpose of getting magic powers.
Yeah.
What if you didn't? What if you didn't get magic powers, but you were really upset?
Well, you know what? That's what therapy is for.
Wait, why hasn't Ash had therapy? Yeah, she's instead of. I feel like that's the question for every character on TV. Is like, why don't they just go to?
Why
therapy?
don't they just go to therapy? Because therapy is great. No one understands.
If anyone, Gary needs therapy. I mean, really. But
and Ash, definitely.
Ash, yeah. Honestly, all of them.
And you know
Mooncake.
who'll be the therapist? K.V.N.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, where's our scene from
therapist?
from Gary's imprisonment where Kevin's acting as his therapist? Yeah, we could flash back to that.
That would be a really good flashback.
The problem with flashing back to Gary though is that he was an asshole and now he's not. So like you have to flash back to him. But yeah, that's tough.
Okay, I don't want that flashback. Just kidding.
Yeah. So I like getting Ash's backstory here, and then we're on Serapentis, and what do we think of this planet and the mythology and the serpent gods? It's all like I feel like very unique for like a one episode plotline here.
I'll say that it's. I think you mentioned that you, in your initial thoughts, that you thought too much was going on. We didn't get explanation for a lot of this stuff. But I think that they give enough of a superficial explanation that I'm like, okay, I accept this. Let's just move on with the story. Let's go on.
The dudes worship the serpent. They get eaten. Yeah.
I was like, I don't need more explanation beyond that.
It's their religion. And also they have a lot of snake-themed food, which is nice.
That was good. Yeah, the snake.
Just don't eat the snake flakes.
It kind of gave me vibes of the Nightosphere from Adventure Time, or just like a general hellish landscape, you know? Like that's always a classic dimension location you can go to. So I enjoyed the setting of this, and I think that they did just enough of setting up what this world is. It doesn't bother me. It's good enough of a framing for this story.
I think I also enjoyed that, like, usually whenever we do this type of, like, I don't know, like, plot where we go visit a planet and they worship this thing and they have to do sacrifices or whatever, it always seems like the mission is to, like tear down the veil and like expose the god or whatever is eating them for not really being a god or whatever it is. And so I really like that, like, we don't even care that they're like in a line to sacrifice themselves. Like we're just like, okay, well, you guys do you, get out of my way. Like,
it's a good point. These people are not saved at the end. Yeah,
like it's not their job. They're not there for that. They just need the key.
Wait, did they kill the serpent though? Wait, would that help?
They did. I mean,
but there's also like other serpent gods, maybe. But was it fictional? The one that K.V.N was trying to be?
No, I'm pretty sure that one was fictional.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
but yeah, no, I just really enjoyed that. Like, we didn't care at all. Like, we just like brushed past it. We're like, oh, these people have been waiting to kill themselves for this god. Like, okay, well, we don't care. Like, I just enjoyed that.
I really like that perspective. It's like a big parody of this type of plotline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, and then also maybe you can apply that to like why does everyone gets like killed by K.V.N. It's like, okay, we're literally not only are we not saving these people, but these idiots in fact kill a lot of them.
Yeah, they were already trying to do that, so K.V.N. just helped them do it a little faster.
They were 8 years back in line, which
exactly.
Mooncake clarified.
And there was a cliff right there that they could have just jumped off. Like, look at that, problem solving. We're helping.
Not helping. Not helping.
I mean, it helped K.V.N. get a forever ball out of it. It helped at least one person.
Yeah, Michelle, give me your K.V.N. highlight of the episode. Was it the forever ball?
It was everything. He was so good.
He did have a lot to do. Yeah.
I love his line when he's pretending to be the snake goddess. He's like, "It is I, Salmonella, goddess of fortune. Definitely not here to trick you." It's so good, and everything with him guessing the riddles was hilarious. And then, like in the third riddle, when Gary's like, "Okay, K.V.N., I know you're definitely gonna let us down in our time of need, but like, what's the third riddle?" He's like, "Well, I don't know. That guy like literally made up a dumb thing. I don't know what it is." And then he kills him by accident again. And it just, killing people by accident sometimes leads to something good. Without that, they wouldn't have gotten the key. So actually, they owe all the success of the mission to K.V.N.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Saves the day again.
Michelle, does K.V.N kill more people than anyone else on the show? Like,
Well, that depends on if the Earth is still habitable in final space or not.
Are you blaming that on Gary too? I thought our whole discussion last week was that we're not blaming Gary.
I'm not blaming that on K.V.N, but I mean, K.V.N has killed a lot of people in that. I mean, that's the nice thing about Gary. I will say for this episode, he's like, all right, let's take a moment of silence. Like, a lot of people just died, and that's not really treated as a joke. It was hilarious, but like, he's taking the moment seriously.
It's a joke.
Yeah. So that's something. At least they got their 5 seconds of quiet time to pay their respects. But I mean, I don't really I blame K.V.N, but I don't hold the murders against him.
Look, all K.V.N wants to do is get the job done, no matter what. So.
Yeah, he's very tunnel vision about his goals.
Yes.
Are we doing a dark K.V.N arc? Like, is he going to be?
I think this is the dark K.V.N arc, but it's also hilarious. So just
dark K.V.N is still just K.V.N, right? Like he can't.
Yes.
He's neither good nor bad. He's just K.V.N.
Yeah, he's just K.V.N.
Chaotic neutral. Is that a thing?
I think he's chaotic. Yeah, I think he's chaotic neutral. Yeah. Well, but he's trying to help Gary, but I don't know. He sticks by his programming, and he cites his programming why he's good at riddles, but clearly
I think he uses it when he wants to, but it's at his own K.V.N distraction.
It's like this free will. I don't buy that he's
got free will. Sure.
Yeah. What else is K.V.N doing? Have we?
He in that whole thing where Gary is like, "Hey, we're a combo," where everybody's like fries.
Oh,
K.V.N,
right.
K.V.N's
He's like, "I'm a napkin." We're the combo from hell, but still.
I think it's an accurate assessment, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because he cleans shit up.
Exactly.
By clean shit up, you mean murders everyone? Is that?
He fixed the job. It's fine. He still got that ball in the end. At least he got something. If he can't have Gary's love yet, at least he got that forever ball.
Forever ball is the totally type of thing K.V.N would. Yeah, that was its total K.V.N gag.
He was so hyped for it.
He's good at bouncing it too, so I'm glad that he got it.
Can you be bad at bouncing a ball?
Yes, you can be bad at everything.
Oh.
I think he'd be better with his K.V.N body. I think he'd be even better at bouncing the ball.
He could bounce it higher.
Yeah, but higher doesn't necessarily mean okay. What I don't know. What's the biggest so what do we think of we're inside the serpent, and how about the moment when Ash finds Harp, and then little Kato is trying to get her to go, and then Harp is too far gone, and then little Kato gets out with her.
It's great.
Yeah, I think it works in the moment. I think this whole story is kind of a common one in shows. So it's not anything unique by any stretch of the imagination. But I think because of the way that they present it, Ash is already a sympathetic character 3 episodes in, so we feel for her. And at the end here, we got the good zombie imagery going on and her being distressed. So it all works, even if it's not it's not that much of a twist on this kind of story, but I care about Ash, so it works for me.
Yeah, I don't think the sister really is the point. The point's Ash in the beginning of the episode has the space to be look, this is why I don't want to go there, and they don't go to the planet until she decides on her terms that they're going to do it. 'Cause she's I need to know if my sister's still alive, basically. And little Kato, I really I know we've been kind of down on their dynamic together. I feel this is the episode that really redeems it, because he's a very supportive person to her, and he doesn't tell her what to do. He just gives her the space to kind of decide, but also is there to make sure she doesn't die, which is a good friend thing. And so Ash gets closure. Her sister does die, but she is kind of too far gone, and then she explodes into flames. So problem solved. She's got her closure. That's all she really needs. And then the best part, I'd say, is when they're back on the ship and she gets to kind of open up to Lil Kato about her concerns, and she confides in him genuinely. And that's so good. And she admits, I'm kind of scared that maybe things could actually be good in the future. And he's yeah, it is kind of scary. And it's such a good moment. That's just Because I know, like, some people that they're mad that we're like not into it. It's like, what's wrong with them liking each other? But the thing is, this is believable. Like, they're talking to each other, they're sharing their history, they're forming a bond through, you know, conversations and doing things together. But just being like, you're cute. Like, that's not, you know, that's just. I'm just glad that we have like actual substance to this now, because it was really sweet, and I thought their whole dynamic in the episode was great.
It's an accurate assessment of the YouTube commenters about us right now. And also, no, I think I think I was about to say their moment on the ship at the end is like the best part, I feel like, of
it's the strongest their relationship's been.
I would agree with that. I think this is the most substance we've gotten. I love them talking about hope and them smiling at each other. And then that leads into like this montage of everyone doing like a small thing. It's like a very hopeful montage for the future after that. I really like that part of the episode too. And so the question is, April, what do you think? Do you think Ash and Little Kato, are you feeling them more after this episode?
Yeah, I am. And I think the reason why, and to kind of like touch on like what Michelle was saying, is that their relationship isn't being like forced now, because I think that was probably, or at least for me, that was my biggest fear, is that it was going to be like one of those like forced relationships where we're just taking these two characters who happen to be, I guess, in the same age range, and like we're just going to make them be together, and that's who their characters are going to be. But like we got the whole like Ash backstory thing, and then, you know, like we got Little Kato like being a supportive person to her versus just being like, I'm just trying to get with you, like, so I'm gonna make sure that you don't die, kind of thing. But like his support and like him being there was just, it felt very genuine. And so I like that they're gonna like cultivate this like relationship around like a good foundation versus like, we're just these two characters and we're just going to put them together. Like, they're actually forming a bond, and it's not, and like, it's real. Like, it was a really like sweet and like tender moment. And like, I even had to like take myself aback and be like, whoa, April, you're okay with this. And I was like, okay, like, cause like sometimes I'll like cling to things. I'll be like, no, it can't be this way. But like, I was like, okay, like, yeah, like I can see this like actually happening now. Whereas before I was just I was not okay with it.
Okay, yeah, you've been convinced.
I've been convinced.
I've been
because it's going to be genuine. It's not going to, that's the thing. Like, it's not like it's going to be organic. It, you know, like it's going to grow versus like happening immediately. Like, it's not going to be one of those things where like, oh, he saved me, we have to be together. Let's make out with me.
That's the big difference I feel between how the Gary and Quinn relationship was handled in the first season, because that one was so Gary likes her from the beginning, and a lot of the builds up for her liking him back was like, well, he's already there, he already likes her. But hers was all like just seeing like, oh, he's actually a great guy, and look at all this cool stuff he did. And that's kind of coercive and just super one-sided in terms of, you know, progression. Whereas these two really seem like they're coming from like, you know, ground zero. Yeah. Maybe they think each other's cute, but like that's not really what we're focusing on. We're focusing on like them being for each other, like there for each other, and having a solid friendship first, and then just letting other things maybe trickle in later. And that's like way more like, I buy it, I'm for it, and it feels like way more healthy. So, like, that's all great. I hope we get more of this, because, yeah, this episode was really strong in that department. And, like, I feel like I got, like, a nicer vibe from Little Kato, too, because, like, again, this is somebody who's not Gary, that he's forming a friendship with, and that's kind of nice, because that shows more sides to his character, too, which is good, because I feel like he's a little more of a character now than he was before.
Yeah, that's a great point about Little Kato. I think it's another strong episode for him. I feel like there's a hot take in there that Ash and Little Kato already better than Gary and Quinn from last season. Alex, do you think?
I think that's room temperature.
Yeah, I think that's pretty defensible at this point. I'm gonna echo what April and Michelle said, that like this is definitely a rebound episode for them. The ship is a lot more better looking after this. I found that conversation at the ship at the end to be really cute.
Mhm.
Now at the end, little Kato makes like a noise, like I can't remember how this noise went,
Yeah.
but like that was weird, right? Like, what was?
No,
what was that?
he's definitely feeling feelings, and I think she gets that.
Is that like his vocalization?
No, he's like joking with her.
He's
Yeah.
like squeeing, and it's cute, and I like that because like I'm glad she didn't smooch him. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like
But that would have been like too soon. Right?
Exactly, because the reading of that kind of would have felt like, oh, he helped her. This is his reward. But her just being nice and kind of being like, okay, I need my space right now, but like, thank you is like a good, like, foundational, like, yeah, you would be thankful. And that's like, there you go. That's like all you get right now. But like, that's fine because you're still friends. You don't know each other that well yet. And him being excited, like, feels a lot more genuine too. So I'm glad that, like, I love this squee. I'm really glad that it wasn't a smooch and they just let him be excited.
It's a good point. They easily could have kissed, and that was good they didn't.
Yeah.
It's like it was a vocalization of his grinning because they're talking about let ourselves be hopeful. Yeah. So yeah.
It's
like,
cute.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet. Okay, I'm coming around a little bit because I did really like the Ash and Kato stuff in this scene, and then also the montage right after that. So there's multiple parts of the episode I was on. So I'll rescind my worst. I think it's like about as good as episode 2 now.
We're gonna keep. I'm gonna
okay,
keep.
we'll see if we get further. But I'll say it's about good as episode. But I liked episode 2.
And like the thing is with Little Kato and Ash, a difference from episode 2 is that this episode is consistent in a lot of ways because also at the very beginning we have that moment where Gary is trying to get Ash to tell the story. She doesn't want to do it to him. Then it's like, hey, Little Kato, you take the rounds. Little Kato is a bit more calm and respectful about it, and that's what gets her to talk about it. So that's also a line that goes throughout the episode as well.
Exactly.
So it doesn't feel, as opposed to episode 2 where like you get the twist at the end, but there's no setup done before that. But in this one, you get you have something to build upon when you get to the end with that conversation, along with what happened in the snake god's stomach. So all of that comes together at the end, and that's what makes it feel a lot more fulfilling. That kind of like meaningful conversation.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Plus, I feel like this is the first time their interest in friendship has been taken seriously as opposed to a joke, I'd say. Because before it was all like, like you're like a cat, or like here's this creepy doll. But this is just like straight up serious, like both times, very genuine. And Alex is right, yeah, they bookend it. So it starts with him like kind of being like, what's going on? Like tell me, like obviously you don't want to go this place, but tell me why. I want to know. And then at the end, like she's comfortable enough with him to kind of lay out her insecurities about the future. And yeah, it works because we set that up at the beginning. So it's not like, wait, why? If they didn't have the beginning and she just decided to talk to him, it probably would have felt a little weird. And we're like, oh no, this is when the romance happens. But it actually feels really fluid and believable. So I think I'm just happy. I'm just happy this whole episode happened.
Okay, good.
It's such relief. Like we want to like all this stuff. We want to like the directions that the show takes it in, and it's just like it's so nice to have a relationship to root for. That feels like it's earned it.
Wow, are we all saying we're Ash and Little Kato shippers now? Are we shipping it?
We could.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Okay. But Little Kato needs a little bit more work. I'm not buying it fully on it.
Okay, well, I want to. Michelle said Little Kato. I want to echo that Little Kato is a much better character now. I think that, he has good relationships with Gary and with Ash, and I would say he's about as good as the other minor characters at this point. Like, I don't know if you disagree, Alex, but like, I think Little Kato, he's a little boring still, but I think we put in some work, and I think he's basically there.
Yeah, he's definitely on his way. I'll give him that much. And like, especially in this episode, he's a lot more interesting because he feels like, a more respectful person is just listening out. Like that's a thing that in male characters in this show, we don't have a ton of. So I'm fine with that. Now, although speaking of like minor characters, I did want to, I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but like as Little Kato is becoming more of a character, do you guys get the sense that like episodes are better when Gary is kind of sidelined?
No, yes, that's the other thing. I think I wouldn't have liked this episode so much if it hadn't been so about Ash's situation and her like finding her sister, her confiding in Kato, her talking about her concerns. Gary's very much a supportive role. in this episode, and it makes a huge difference in my enjoyment of it. Not just for that, but that's definitely something I realized the second time I watched it. I was like, oh, it's because Gary's like, he's just there to help out. And like sometimes he's like in the center, but like he's not running this show right now. And I honestly feel like that's a way greater place for him to be. Like, I like this episode. Yeah, he was actually pretty fine.
And I think that this show has so many funny characters, and also, as we see with Ash, also characters who are capable of having carrying emotional arcs. That like we don't really need to have Gary as the main character. And I think that because also in episode 1, I think I commented on this too. That was more kind of an ensemble episode where Gary was technically the main character, but because we're introducing so many people, so it didn't feel necessarily that way. And I think that that's a good direction for the season to take, where we're fine focusing on the other characters in this group, giving Little Kato more time, giving Ash and the other guy Fox more time. We can give Nightfall an episode, maybe finally. Yeah, maybe. So I think that's just something that stood out to me when I was watching this episode. That like Gary is fine in the times that he shows up in this episode, and I think it's because of the fact that he's not the main lead. That as a supporting, he works totally fine, and he's good at and he like lets off the one-liners, and that maybe is enough.
Yeah, his one-liners honestly are so funny. Like I know, like early on when they're doing the Thimbles bonding game, which again, Thimbles bonding game is superior to the P game. I mean, that wasn't a game, but you know what I mean? Like they serve the same purpose of getting all the characters to interact with each other, which is a form of bonding. And this is like a duplicate of that, but so much stronger. Like I love seeing them do their random ping pong game. That's essentially what it is. It's like racquetball ping pong with space crazy rules. Yeah. But Gary has this line early on, and he's like, "What in the 3 rings of hell is going on?" And just like his delivery is so funny. Like he's really good at one-liners.
Yeah, I agree with the point that this is more of an ensemble show now thus far this season. I mean, this is like the one-off Ash episode. We'll see if her strong presence continues. I do think Gary in episode 2 was more of the lead, and I do think he was fine. I think he was strong. His dream plot. I am more interested in like the Ash content of this episode versus like the Gary cookie dream. But I think like we'll see with more Gary-centric episodes to come, but I do think there's signs from episode 2 that we could improve on his character and have him still be a lead presence while also like being fine. But I do think the show probably would benefit with more of a spread focus like this.
Yeah, just give separate characters episodes to grow in that case, and bring Gary back for main focus. Like, give them all a turn. Maybe not all of them equally, but maybe we could have a little Kato arc the way we are having an Ash arc right now.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, we're going to move to more plotty show now after episode 4, and like we have to have more of like a consistent thing happening. And I know Gary's mom is coming into the picture, so I do think we could go back.
How do you know this stuff? That's a huge spoiler.
This is public info.
Spoiler to us.
This is known information. But I have no knowledge beyond that. What's happening? So I think Gary will be a big. We should just brace ourselves for Gary to have stuff coming. I'll just say that.
It's fine because Gary's not as much of an asshole as he was last season.
That's true.
Yeah, right. April, are you at least enjoying the parts Gary does have?
Yeah, I mean, last episode, I know that I remarked, I was just like, oh no, like I genuinely enjoyed Gary in this episode because I did, and like in this one, like I enjoyed him as well. So, I mean. But like my problem will come if like because he's the main character, and so if we like don't do things with our main character, then I'm gonna get frustrated. So at least I'm like, oh well, if Gary's mom's gonna be in an episode, then obviously we're gonna like have some Gary focus, which will be nice. And again, like I think like Gary has now earned his time to be in the focus just because he's not an asshole anymore. So which makes me happy.
Yeah, I think I'm willing to give what the show's going to do with Gary this season a chance for sure, and I think he's been better, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if it succeeds a lot more. More focus for him, and I do also agree with the point that like it would be weird if Gary was just suddenly not our main character. They're like, we haven't really transitioned from that to
He
like.
can be our main character, but not always have the plot be about him. I think that's a pretty important.
Yeah, which I think is what
Well,
the season's
yeah.
done so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see as we so I'm like, what are they going to do if we, because we're not really super serialized so far this season, but once we get serialized, like how's this going to play in? I think that'll be interesting. We mentioned the thimbles in the beginning. I agree. This is the same thing.
Thimbles!
As the pissing contest. I didn't necessarily enjoy it that much more than the pissing. I mean, it wasn't like as gross as
It's
that.
like I wonder if we're gonna do this like every episode. Like at the very beginning of the episode, we all have to be together in the same room, and then we like are like, oh, we have to go do this thing, and we're like, what? And then we get the beginning sequence, and then we get into the episode. Like, are we going to do this every episode? Because I don't know if I can handle this.
Well, we've been missing the cold opens with Gary floating in space talking to Hugh.
Oh, yes.
So what if this is like the replacement?
But
downgrade.
Downgrade for sure.
I think once we get more plotty, we might transition away from this. But the thimble, it was interesting. I guess the removing limbs part of the thimbles, and then we see like Hugh sees Ash's tattoo. He's speculating about this, and we not a lot of Ava so far, but Gary says, Ava, put up a star map. Ava, now.
Yeah. So I love the sassy ship robot. It's such a funny thing.
Yeah, more Ava. Where's the Ava episode? Yeah.
The other Ava moment is when Hugh's like, hey, I have my own room now, you guys. And Ava's like, translation, a paint can in the janitor's wardrobe. And Hugh's like, can you let me have this one thing?
You can hear the desperation in his monotone, and it's so funny. Like, seriously, all the jokes in this episode, every character are just so funny.
But by the way, Hugh is like a lot more using like slang in this episode. He's like chillaxing.
He's trying to fit
in. We're continuing down the path of Hugh now that he's not an AI anymore. Is just trying to find humanity now.
Exactly, it's his arc for the season.
Yeah. I liked his line. This is not slang, but I liked his line about it's the worst place for a honeymoon, but the best place for venom-soaked Viper waffles.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Is it hot in here, or is it just Hugh? Doe. Like, I feel like that's his character this season. Doe. Like, that's the summary.
He's like dad joke central.
Yeah.
He tells Ash to fix the asshole.
Dad
Yes.
He's like, yeah, first you need to fix this asshole. I just like love that the whole Ash mix is just colloquially known as the asshole.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quick, but that was good. I like that.
It was good.
Not a lot with Clarence, but we do get the return of his money compass.
Oh my god, the money compass! That was the first note I wrote down. And the surprise reveal that Tribor has 3.
Most importantly, Tribor says, I have 3 money compasses. Does that get confusing? Very.
When he says that, do we think he's being literal or not? Because I thought he might have been being suggestive. And
no, I think he means he has 3 penises. That's what he means.
Okay.
Wondered about
the long answer to does Tribor fuck?
Yeah.
3 times as much as the normal person.
But yes, probably. I mean, maybe the lady Tribor is like, maybe it works out.
So why does it get confusing? Do they do like different things? Like,
Maybe there aren't enough of his species, and so like picking up ladies is complicated. Okay,
dude, is it hard to like keep track of the location, or is it? I don't know. Like, I'm just.
They might not all be in the same place. Actually, that's true.
That's true.
Also, let's think about it. If it's a literal and he actually does have 3 compasses that point to money, what if they're pointing in 3 different directions because there's money all over the place?
I don't think he has 3 literal money compasses. I think
that's like the wholesome answer to that question.
No, I don't think Tribor.
It's vague enough.
Tribor is wholesome though, so I don't know. Okay, more Tribor, please. He only had like 1 line here. It's fine.
More money compasses.
More money compasses. Yeah.
Every episode.
There was that gag where Tribor called his resistance friends.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
Oh, yes.
That was Richard and Dan. It was
That
like
was so funny.
Really?
He's
Okay.
like, I'm gonna ask Richard.
Yeah, he's like, "Wait, who's that guy next to you?" Okay, well, call me back later. And Gary's like, "Well, that's a minute of my life I'll never get back." It's so funny.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I thought that that's an example for me of gags that were so quick, that it passed me by a little bit.
So
But
good.
okay, that's good. What else do we miss? I think we can go to the B plot, where again barely, because at the end it comes back when they're the last scene, but there's really one, maybe one and two scenes where it's Hugh, Fox, and Nightfall, and then this dude comes on the ship. And Hugh's wants to throw him this bachelor party, but again, that didn't deserve to be in the episode description, right? It's just not a real.
I got cheated and lied to.
Yeah.
Oh, I still liked it.
No, it was still fun, but I'm just saying.
Well, okay, you thought he was going to be running that show, and it was definitely Fox.
Yeah, so for me, why this didn't work is the dude comes on the ship and Hugh is immediately oh, bachelor party, and it's within 5 seconds, it's what are we doing? What? That was my reaction to it. It was so fast. But I do prefer this to drag too much. That's good. And Nightfall and Fox, not a lot to do this season. Fox did have that good one moment with, wanting to be the best man. And Nightfall is part of the Ash and Little Kato scene, at the end too.
Yeah, I was going to ask. What are the opinions on Nightfall's first thing of Ash being I don't need you mothering me? That. Oh,
I didn't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that felt a little weird. That we're the two female characters talking to each other. The first thing is okay, well, you're you're gonna be my mother figure. It's it feels.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The two of the only female characters on the show, and she's saying, "Are you gonna?" Yeah, it came across very badly. I feel I guess especially in the context of we've had problems with say these types of things from the show before.
I mean, the thing is, it's kind of clunky and awkward, but I think the thing that kind of saves it is at the end, Nightfall gives her space. She confides in Little Kato, but she can tell the Nightfall's still there for her if she needs her, but she's not going to try to get her to talk to her yet. And they exchange a genuine smile, and to me, they were just okay, they're gonna figure out their dynamic later. It's not the end of the story, and they've made up from that argument they initially had. I do think the argument's kind of clunky and awkward, but I think that's just maybe the case of there being whoever was writing this one was okay, what are we gonna have their dynamic be? We're not sure yet. We're gonna find out later. Maybe they fight a little bit. But because they kind of make up without making up verbally at the end, I just I don't know. It took some of the edge off that weirdness to me, and I'm kind of okay with it at this point.
Yeah, I do like the resolution.
Yeah, the resolution's good.
I think it's also just a function of Nightfall still not being a character. So it's once we know more about her and she gets to do her own thing again, then maybe it'll come back around. But just right now, because Nightfall doesn't have anything to do, it just felt a little out of place.
I just thought it was social standpoint off-putting.
That part too.
So yeah, I don't know, just for your dude, just don't write a female character saying "stop mothering me" to another female character.
Especially when she's not mothering her.
She's just asking if you're okay, basically.
Yeah.
Just unnecessary dialogue, sexistly charged dialogue that had no reason to be there, basically.
Yeah,
and I know it's they're advocating for it. It was just the character saying, but anyway. The ending, then the dude gets pushed off. And,
that was the best punchline to an episode ever.
And he's still talking to her, you think maybe it's gonna be okay while he's falling, but then no, he just splats into goo all over her dress and face.
And Hugh, the Hugh throwing the rice is now the birds will also die, and then just cut.
I lost it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's excellent. I think it's the punchline of Hugh at the end, right after the splat. It all works for me. Yeah,
it works really well. And the thing is, I know the B plot's really fast, but Nightfall and Fox genuinely are talking to this guy, and they're giving him advice. Seems like maybe there's another reason you're late for the wedding, and then he confides into him. He's I'm afraid of this good thing happening, and I don't know if I'm ready to be the husband she needs. And they genuinely support him and pump him up, and he's so excited. And then Fox pushes him too hard accidentally, and then he dies. It's just, I think that's hilarious. We don't need a lot more than that, but it's just It's making the characters interact and bond with somebody. It's giving them something to do that's not just slapstick. And
I mean, the ending is pretty slapstick.
But it works because the buildup is like so whatever. And I don't know, I really liked it. And Hugh had like the best line probably of the whole episode.
Yeah, for me, like, why them building the emotional connection up, like, just makes it more horrifying. No, like, in a bad way for me. Like, I'm like disgusted.
It's admittedly morbid humor, and that doesn't work for everybody.
Right, like, violent, gross out, like, type humor. Like, again, the 3 times in the episode, they all didn't work for me.
This is also a very Rick and Morty-esque joke, I feel.
Yes, I think Rick and Morty is like much better at this type of joke, but yeah, it might not work for me in that show either if they did it.
All of it. All of it is so funny. That might just be me though.
Yeah, I don't know. I could give a whole speech about how I don't like things like this, but I don't know. It's just my personal preference, so whatever. This is the I've ranted about this before, like on our Discord. Like this is it's. It's killing. Don't kill the people for the humor. Like, do something else. Like, you can do other things. I don't know.
Yeah. If you give me this or the gross out humor from episode 2, I prefer this.
Same. Honestly.
Well, so that's the same ballpark for me. That like the splatter on their windshield, right? Like, and then this dude splatters on the ground. I feel like, or like they're wearing the skin again. It's like this is a dead person. Like, yeah. So
the skin was that registered differently to me. But like this versus peeing. Like, I absolutely watch a million people fall to their deaths, like thinking K.V.N is a salmonella god, than like an extended pee sequence fight. But yeah, it probably just is a preference thing.
You know, Wile E. Coyote fell off a cliff multiple times. You never saw him pee on the Roadrunner. So.
That's true.
He did not die, or maybe he did die.
He did. He has a million lives. That's all.
Is that how that works? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else in the episode? I think we covered everything.
The old guy telling the riddles. Literally one of my favorite parts. Like, I don't know. It was like it felt kind of like weirdly animated, but also like that guy in the bridge from Monty Python Holy Grail. But just like all the riddles were so bonkers and they kept getting super confusing for no reason. And the payoff of K.V.N just like knowing it and leaving this guy flabbergasted each time. It's just so funny. Like the pacing was so hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, the guy made like these. I like the animation on his poses. I think at the end. I think that was good. Yeah, again, I feel like again personal preference. Like I didn't like those types of jokes, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to argue for or against things being funny. But yeah, I feel like we haven't talked as much about the excellent animation of this show. I think in part because we haven't been given as many circumstances for it to be showed off. Like we've been in these kind of like one-off episodes.
I think we talked a little bit about the setting earlier in this, and like the setting is pretty nice. Like very apocalyptic feeling. That's what you want.
Yeah, I think the planet and the wide shots of the planet, I think, the guy's poses when I noticed it. Also, like when Hugh's like telling them about the planet, there's like these little things on his like, his chest or something. Like, I don't know, if it's detailed, I liked it. Like there's like little, image representations of what he was talking about. But yeah, the show's still very well made, and I am eager to see that shown off to a higher degree in future episodes, I would say.
I agree. It like the show always looks good for me, so and I guess maybe like I just don't compliment it enough, but because I don't know, I get wrapped up in other things.
No, but like we haven't had like space battles yet, or I feel like that's when the show shined last season, and we just haven't gotten that yet. So we'll get it soon, I think.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it soon. April, anything we didn't talk about or final thoughts?
No, we covered everything. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, you like it. We're okay. I'm bringing it full circle there.
Yes.
April likes it.
I did that on purpose.
I could tell you did. Michelle, final thoughts?
The emotional montage moment at the end was really good. I think one thing I really appreciated about it was that to me, it still feels kind of forced when like everyone gets together to give a rousing supportive speech to one character. Like we did that with Little Kato. We did it with Gary multiple times. We did it with Quinn. But the thing that's great about this is like it shows everyone having their own little intimate moments with maybe like one or two other characters in different parts of the ship, and just like having some downtime that feels like real and legitimate. And it works really good emotionally. There's really good music playing. We see everyone involved in different activities. And we even have that nice moment with Gary when he's like holding the cube and he's like looking out in space. And it's ambiguous enough that maybe the through line of him feeling guilty is valid. Maybe he's sad about Quinn, who knows? But the fact that it's left open-ended, it's like, good, he's thinking seriously about something. Like that. Thank you. I'll take it. Good job. So I think that's a really good kind of underrated moment, but I really like it. It that's the kind of emotional stuff that I think like works really well, and kind of sets this show apart from other shows. Like I do think it's very interested in doing emotional highs and comedy, like both. And I think it worked really well here, even though again, like, well, actually maybe the balance of the episode is more like 50-50, like with Ash's stuff. Like, there are a lot of jokes, but her stuff is pretty consistently serious, her situation with her sister and her backstory. So maybe that's probably the reason it feels really good at the end to have that little moment. But I think it's really good. I want to see more stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I do think it's what makes this show unique. It's we've been talking about the balance. And Alex, any thoughts on that or final thoughts on the episode?
Okay, first of all, you said that each character gets an intimate moment. Clarence is on the toilet pooping out a key, so that is
intimate,
a very
right?
intimate
That's
moment.
an intimate moment.
With his body, an intimate moment pooping. Excuse you. Very intimate.
Yes. The bathroom is intimate for all of us. Second of all, Mooncake in this episode.
Oh, I forgot the Mooncake.
Very limited.
Oh.
Mooncake Cuddles Ash.
Yeah, that's Mooncake's moment of the episode.
Chocolate. Like that was the cutest thing. Like okay, that was.
He clarifies the amount of time that the people are in line to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
8 hours? No, years. Yeah.
yeah.
So Mooncake probably I want more Mooncake. I have a plush of him in my room, and I need more. I need more Mooncake.
More Mooncake plushes. I agree. We need a new Mooncake plush.
Yeah, that too. It's gonna give you a new Mooncake plush, a bigger one. The one that I have right now is like the size of my head, but I'd like one that's kind of like my stomach size. You know, that I like sleep on it. Anyways,
as big as me.
Finally, a public service announcement. While the end of the episode's joke is very funny, according to Snopes, it's not true that birds will die from eating wedding rice. Okay, so don't worry about it in real life. Obviously,
What about normal rice? I thought it did kill them.
No, it doesn't actually.
Yeah, it's like
really?
old
Yeah, that's a myth. And actually, according to this article, birdseed expands more than rice. So because usually the reason is like rice expands in their stomach, but if that was the case, then birdseed would also kill them because birdseed also expands in their stomach. So you're fine with giving rice to birds, but obviously if you're having a wedding, rice is very messy, right? So if you're more worried about like the cleaning part, obviously, then don't throw the rice. But if you're only worried as the birds, then don't worry about it. You're fine.
Alex says
Thank
you're
you.
fine. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Alex
Okay.
says do it.
Do it. Okay. Yeah.
You tested. Alex approved.
Yeah, I feel very sad having to say that he was wrong about something, but he was.
He was being sarcastic.
He was
It's fine.
wrong about murder. I like that's an okay thing to be wrong about.
Yeah.
Be on the cautious side. Okay.
Oh wait,
Okay.
let me ask for a Hue plush. If anybody's listening, can I
Oh
get
my
a
god!
Hue plush?
Please make Kevin. No. Kevin should be first
Kevin
priority.
first. I saw Kevin plush.
Yeah,
in like
I saw Kevin
Wait,
push on
did you-
Twitter.
Wait,
no,
did you
I think it
really?
was no, but it was like a crew thing. Like it was a one-off, like for the crew or
That
something.
hurts my heart. Maybe
I
they're
think they have
extra
to-
ones.
But maybe Olin said it's coming soon. I don't know, but yeah, we would.
I have to find out if they
Yeah.
have them linked to Office.
We're definitely not out yet. If it's out, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, we need the Kevin merch, obviously.
Please sell him.
Okay.
Kevin merch, Mooncake merch, Hue merch, please.
Tribor. Next week, the other side. Olin has been hyping this episode. He says it's like his favorite of the season. So.
Okay, don't tell me that. I don't want to like disappoint anyone.
This is a classic Olin move in ranking the episodes before they come out. I really like that. It's no other creator I've ever seen has done that. And
it's hard to be objective if you know an order that somebody already has.
You just have your own opinion. It's fine. We just we didn't. I think he ranked something last season that I didn't agree with. We have our own ranking. But anyway, this is a anticipated episode involving other dimensions, so it's gonna be good. So the other side next week. Tell us what you thought of our thoughts on this episode, The Grand Surrender, which is I feel like a very weird name for this episode, by the way. I guess like it's
the Grand Surrender of the Snake-O.
Right, they surrendered to the snake to get eaten, but that's like a stretch for me. Surrender of feelings.
Yes, because she is able to let go of her.
Oh, so it's so the most common episode titles when they try to have it mean two things. So it's like when they surrender the snake and also the surrender of her. Okay.
Yeah,
I see that. I like that. Tell us what you thought of this episode. YouTube comments. Complain why we didn't like Ash and Loyal except we did this time. So complain complain that we did like it, and then
complain that we're flip floppers.
Right? Yeah, I think that'd be valid. And then other thoughts of the episode of what you're looking forward to this season. Our website as well, overlyanimated.com, or a Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. And consider supporting us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Sam, aka Suitcase Sam. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, and Michael. Check out other stuff at overlyanimated.com that we've been covering, including Young Justice, which is back. Excited about that. Another adult show we're covering, and for continued Fruits Basket coverage and some other stuff coming up this month as well. Find all that at overlyanimated.com. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Chookity.